Alhamdulillah for another Jum'ah. Alhamdulillah for another opportunity to fulfill the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and come to His remembrance. Today's topic across all of the Adam's branches is about the Ummah and our brotherhood and our sisterhood. And of course, in regards to Monday being the 12-month, I don't even want to call it an anniversary, witnessing some of the worst atrocities that any human being can witness. And it's important for us, I believe, as a community and as individuals to look down within ourselves and see how we feel about that. What are the emotions that we ourselves are feeling? What are we experiencing? Sitting with ourselves, no matter how uncomfortable it may be, and actually ask ourselves, the person that we were on October 7th, 2023, is it the same person that we are October 7th, 2024? And that's an individual question that each and every one of us have to ask ourselves. Is our life the same? And the reason I ask that is because tragedy is meaningless if it doesn't actually affect you as an individual on a daily basis. The tragedy that the Palestinian people are experiencing themselves, and now the Lebanese people and the Yemeni people, and we've witnessed throughout this year the Sudani people, still continuing for years, the Uyghurs in China, still continuing for years the oppression against Muslims in India, still continuing for years the oppression against the people in Kashmir who've been fighting for their independence. Still now we've witnessed in Bangladesh the ability for them to actually remove from power someone who's been abusing that power for years. In Afghanistan, in Syria, Bashar Assad is still here 10 years later. Iraq, still there's no rebuilding happening. All of our countries that many of us immigrated from to try to find a better life for our families, for our children, for our descendants, our hearts are still connected to these places in which we've attained our inception, our birth, our history, our legacy. And it's important to take a step back and just assess, what is my life about? What is going on in my life? What has changed with all of these places that I listed? And I can guarantee you, some of you are sitting here and you're saying, man, he missed this place and this place and this place and this place and this place. I'm missing a whole host of places, which is actually the sad thing about it. So taking a step back and actually asking yourself, you as an individual, who was I on this day and who am I today? And if you're the same person, if nothing has changed, if you haven't done anything different, you haven't added any new thing to your life that allows you to connect with the pain and the suffering that your blood of your brothers and your sisters, my brothers, my sisters, my family, my lineage, my legacy, if something hasn't changed in your life, then there's a problem with you. And this khutbah is going to be very blunt, and I apologize if I offend you. But it's been too many years where we don't look in the mirror as individuals because we're so comfortable, because we have a good life, because our children are raised a good life. They can do and buy, and I just came from Cox Farms, that's why I'm dressed in this way. And all these kids are running around and they're happy and they're smiling. Just ask, as I ask myself, it's not to deprive my children of their happiness, but I have to take a step back and then ask, what about the rest of my children in the world? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they excited? Are they having enough food to eat? And you don't even have to look too far, brothers and sisters. In our own backyards, our own neighbors, the people down the street from us. You don't have to look too far to understand what human suffering looks like. You don't. The only thing that you have to do is look in the mirror and say, what am I doing? What am I doing to make a difference? Whether in one person or 1,000,000 people, what are you doing as an individual? Because I think for too many years, we've been saying it's somebody else's thing to do. It's somebody else's problem to deal. I'll just give the money. I'll just support with this thing and that thing. But you've absolved yourself. I have absolved myself of the responsibility to feel what they feel and ask myself, what have I done in my life to change that? And so I did that. I did that on October 7th. I was sitting in an airport after being fortunate enough to take a trip to Canada, to the Rocky Mountains, and just hike for 4 days straight. Just sit with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just witness the majestic beauty that Allah has created on earth. To separate from the noise, to separate from all of the stimulus, from all of the problems, from all of the just daily strife, and just try to go and connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and disconnect from everything else. And so sitting in an airport waiting for a plane, I started to reflect on that, because it was on October 7th that I was sitting in an airport, and I'm sitting there feeling frustrated because I couldn't get into a club. I just wanted to get some free food and sit comfortably. And looking back at last year, I earned a status of 1K where I should be able to get into any club I want. I've traveled so many times that I deserve this. I'm entitled to this, which is a very American mindset. And when I sat down on the couch alone, I'm like, why am I frustrated about this? Who am I to be frustrated about this? When it's October 7th, and for 12 months we've just witnessed atrocities, live, streaming in front of us. And I'm frustrated that I can't get into a club to eat free food. And the last bakery in RYSE is on fire. They're not gonna have baked goods. So then I asked myself, what have I done between last October 7th and this October 7th? And I personally, alhamdulillah, October 7th was a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it woke me up to something. It woke me up to the fact that everything that I have been enslaved to, believing that I was serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when in reality I was serving my own nafs. I was serving my own luxury, where I can then live in a nice house and my children can be raised in a way that I was never raised. I can drive nice cars, I can live in a nice area, I can feel the comfort of 1K status where I just stroll into the airplane and get the best seats. And I told myself that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He woke us up to the fact, the reality that life is not just. This world is not just. It is unfair. And it's unfair for a very specific group of people. And there are some of us that are more privileged than others. And the responsibility of that privilege is that we do something about it, that we use it. Because you and I sitting here today are chosen to be sitting here, and not chosen to be in whatever country you may have immigrated from, whatever country your parents may have, your great-grandparents, all of your ancestors. We are privileged to be sitting here today and not be ones who are afraid that bombs will be dropped, houses will be burned, family members will be lost. And so then the question needs to become, what can I use this privilege for? What do I do with it? And if you're doing the same thing that you were doing on October 6, 2023, and you haven't changed, then I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala heals your heart. Yeah, I will say it, heals your heart. Because that means we are not feeling what it means to be part of an actual ummah, Ummah means you come from an And means you come from a mother. It means you come from the same womb. That womb builds a certain affinity to another person that's unmatched. And that feeling generates practical changes in our life, because it means يُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. The Ansar would prefer the Muhajirun over themselves, even if it put them into difficulty, because of an affinity based on Islam. And so we have to reclaim that affinity in our hearts to figure out. I'm not telling you to go watch videos. I'm not telling you to go and expose yourself to the brutality that we are witnessing as a humankind. I'm not telling you that, because I don't do that. What I'm telling you is to look into yourself and really ask, how has my life changed? What am I doing on a daily basis to improve myself so that I can make a difference to the people around me, within my own vicinity and globally, to make a difference in their lives? And I'm not just talking about money, because a lot of times the ease in which we're able to donate absolves us of true transformational responsibility within our own selves. And Allah has promised us that Inna Allah la yughayyiru. The macro will not change until the micro does. The macro environment that we are living through, that we are witnessing, will not change until you and I change what's within ourselves, the individual. And so if we collectively continue as individuals to not change ourselves, the definition of insanity is that we try the same thing expecting different results. So if for so many years we've been trying to just change the external, but never look inside of ourselves and make our own changes, then how will we ever see a change in the world? So brothers and sisters, if you leave with anything today, leave with knowing you are responsible for change. Nobody else is. The person sitting to the right or left of you is not responsible for change. Does not absolve you of your responsibility to change. Does not absolve me of my responsibility to change as an individual. Each and every one of us walking out, وَكُلُّكُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا. Every single one of us will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an individual. No one else will be standing next to us when we are standing before the throne of Allah. Only you, only I. And so you and I have to have an answer for ourselves on how have we changed to improve our states, so that the state of the ummah may improve as well. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His help. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه كان توابا. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد, to conclude, brothers and sisters, the message to me is very clear. And I hope this is what you take away from my intent. Tragedy that does not breed individual change is a lost opportunity. It's a lost opportunity for us, not for the ones who are going through the struggle and the challenge. They will be martyred. They will be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will persevere. They will transform. They are already in a state that we are jealous of. They are already in a state that we are jealous of. What we have to worry about is you and myself, our states. Because the comfort that we live in is a test in and of itself, but it's a test that doesn't slap you in the face like all of the other tests that we're witnessing today. And so again, I ask you And you have to ask yourself this question when you go home and you look in the mirror and you look at that person in the mirror and you ask, am I the same person on October 7th, 2023 as I am today? And you have to make the answer for yourself on whether that's yes or no. And if the answer is yes, you are the same person, then take stock of your life. Take stock of your life. Because living day to day without a profound understanding of what you're trying to change and how you're trying to change things within yourself that then emanate outside of you will leave you in a hamster wheel. You're just going day to day. You're recycling it. And it's a terrible feeling to live. So I ask and I give advice to myself first and foremost, and you to take stock of that. Make changes in your life that allow you to see the impact on your own state, to your family, to your neighbors, to your community, to your country, to global community that we have that we call the Ummah, that's the same mother coming from the same womb, and to feel the pain that they feel, but using it in different ways. Using it in different ways. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also allow us to use our voices as some of the most impactful elections are coming up. May Allah allow us and guide us in this troubling time to make the right decision. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us the haqq as haqq, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us falsehood as falsehood, and allows us to follow the haqq and to move away, run away, shield ourselves from the batil, from the unjust, from the falsehood. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts. May Allah open the hearts of those around us, those humans that we are interacting with on a daily basis. May Allah open their heart to be empathetic to all of those around the world who are struggling, all of those who are around them who are struggling. And may Allah make us more empathetic with ourselves and with our brothers and sisters in humanity. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our shortcomings, for they are countless shortcomings. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أقم الصلاة.